I want to talk a little bit about the assignments that are required for Systematic Theology 3, the study of Christ and salvation. Now, this is glorious material, isn't it? Right? Pray for me that I'm able to do it some justice, as the things that we're going to explore this semester are just so glorious and beautiful and amazing. I mean, what could be better than studying our Savior and how He saved us? I mean, I love the material here. This gets at the heart of the Christian life. And I've given you assignments that I think are going to help guide you into this material to help you learn it more. The first thing, just kind of working through the syllabus in terms of order of importance, the first thing is the weekly reading summaries. So I've given you textbooks to read, and I've assigned reading for each week. It's clear both on your syllabus and on Schoology what that reading is. And each week I'm asking you for a 2-page summary. Let me just say something about why I've structured the class in this way. Some classes, and there's nothing wrong with them being structured this way, but some classes are structured so that you have, one main project that sort of you do, and hopefully you don't procrastinate that, but I sometimes did. And then you put that in at the end, and you're kind of, the whole class is just working towards this project. This class isn't like that at all. This is structured on the drip approach. Like if you're trying to fill up a bucket, you just do little drips. Eventually it's going to get filled up, and it might be filled up better by a lot of little drips than you try to just pour a whole lot in at one time. It might not, it might just splash right out. That's sometimes what happens if we try to cram a whole lot of things all at once. Sometimes it just splashes out of your brain. At least that's what it does for me. But what I want you to do, I don't have one big assignment for this class. I just have a lot of little ones. 2-page summaries each week. And what you do is just get in the habit of doing that 2-page summary every week. Let me say a few things about it so that you kind of know exactly what I'm looking for. I'm assuming that each page is going to be about 300 to 400 words, maybe even 500 words, which means a total of 600 to 1,000 words. I want that document submitted to Schoology each week. And I do want it each week. So in terms of late assignments, this is what inevitably happens. Students are busy and they think, okay, I didn't get it done, and they'll just try to put it off towards the end. And what I want you to do is, I want you to turn it in each week. And to help enforce that, I don't want to accept them late, except for 2. So 2 you can turn in anytime. They're late, no questions asked. That's okay. I understand life happens, things come up, you don't get it done. That's fine. 2 of them you can turn in late. But more than 2, I just won't accept. And that's not to, institute arbitrary rules that you have to meet, hurdles to jump over. It's to force you to actually do the reading and do the summary week by week. I think you'll learn better that way. My goal is that you would learn. So do the summary each week. Please try to keep on that track. That'll get you through the textbook, and I think you'll really learn something. Now, the textbooks are tough. You've got some tough reading ahead of you, but you can do it. And I want to help you out as much as I can. But I want to prepare you. I'm under no illusion that these books are easy. Okay, if you say, Professor, these are hard books, I'll say, yeah, they are, but that's for a reason. I mean, this material is glorious. This is good. And I want to give you what you need for ministry. I mean, some of you are training to be pastors, church leaders. You'll be talking to people about eternal things, about Christ, about our salvation. I want you to have all that you're going to need to be able to do that, to prepare you for a lifetime of ministry and a lifetime of learning. I mean, this is not all there is. There's more to go. But I want to give you the core of what you're going to need to talk about Christ and our salvation and be able to learn even more. So yes, these are tough books. I know that there are things in them that probably will go over your head. When I was an undergrad, I probably would not have gotten it all myself. And that's okay. The way I've structured the summaries, it's not like I'm giving you a quiz where I'm concerned that you've mastered every single sentence and can be able to exegete it for me. I'm giving you the summary, and the summary is a main assignment so that I can understand what you do know. So, okay, you might not have gotten it all, but what did you get? I want to see that. Now, I've tried to help you out with the weekly supplemental videos about some of the books. This is a blended class, and blended means that it's partly in class and partly online or some other way. And because it's only 2 hours, you have to watch the supplemental videos. But the videos are designed to help orient you to the reading so that you will be able to get through it. It's tough, but I've tried to help you out with the videos, and watch those. I don't summarize, for the most part, I don't just summarize the readings for you in the videos. No, I don't want to do your work for you. I want you to actually do the summary, but I've tried to sort of talk around the material to sort of orient you to it, and help you understand what's going on in the reading. Now, there are some times where it is really tough, and I have just summarized it for you. But generally, I've just tried to give you more of an introduction to the reading, and that'll help prepare you for it. So in your summaries, what I'm looking for is that you give me 2 pages of real content. I'm not asking for just flowery language, filler. You know how to write 2 pages about anything if you just say enough words about it. I'm not asking for that. I want 2 pages of solid content that summarize the chapters. I'm not asking for long quotes. I don't want to see long quotes from the chapter in your summary. I know what's in there. I've read it, made videos about it. I know what's in there. You don't need to give me the quotes. I want you to take what the author says in 30 pages or so, and then reduce that down to 2. And I want your best shot at saying, in other words, what the chapter says. I don't want, well, actually I do. I would love to know what you think about these chapters. I would love to know your reflections, your personal application, but only if you're willing to write more than 2 pages about it. So, if you want to write your 2-page summaries and then give me another couple paragraphs that sort of tell me what you think about it, I will read it with great interest. But don't take up the 2 pages by talking about your application and all. That's important, but I'm more concerned that you can summarize the chapters in your own words and do that right there. So that's what I'm looking for. And please, just to stress this, don't think that you can just watch the videos and then do the summary based upon the videos. As I said before, I'm not summarizing it for you. I'm just trying to orient you to it. You need to do the reading, and you need to try to summarize it on your own. There'll be parts of the reading, maybe the simpler parts, that I just say that I don't even mention. Those are still fair game for what you need to cover in the summary. Again, you're trying to get the main threads, the main ideas of what this chapter covers, and write your summary based upon them. Okay, moving on then. So we've got the summaries. That's 55% of your grade. 25% of your grade is the final. Now, there's just one final. No midterms, no tests. I don't want to take class time or use up the time for that. One final. It's going to be between 5, 8, maybe 10 questions that I'll ask you, and you'll choose a subset of those. 3 to 6 or 7 or so, whichever ones you want. And the final will be these questions that test you on your ability to not just regurgitate what I've taught in the lectures, but to apply what I've taught in the lectures. So I'll ask you, application questions of here's a situation based upon what we've learned in class. What do you say? What do you do? How do you respond to this? I'm going to make the questions. You're going to have to think about maybe ministry situations or counseling situations that would take the material and use it another way, repurpose the material. But if you really learn it, you're going to be able to do that. I want you to, in the final, though, just to prepare you for this, I'll mention it before we get close. Make sure that you are actually explaining something that you learned in class. We're talking about Christ and salvation. This is a topic that I assume you know something about already. Otherwise, you wouldn't be studying at Faith Seminary. So you know something about this topic. The challenge is, and this is great that you know something about this topic. I want to then take what you learned and expand upon it, build on it. Our roots go deeper. we're more solid in our understanding. That's what I want to see. So what you already know is good. We're going to build on that. But I don't want you to answer the questions based upon what you already know. Okay? If I gave you the final now, which I can't because I haven't developed it yet, but if I were to have developed it and gave it to you, you could probably write something about all the answers, because this is to some degree familiar territory. But I want the final to test you what you actually learned in class. So keep in mind that as we're learning things that might be to some degree familiar to you, you haven't really got the point of this class unless you take what you already know and then use the material we're presenting in class to actually go further. So don't just receive the material and think, oh, I already know that because I know something about Christ and his death, and I already know that. Well, maybe you know everything in this class, but probably there's a lot of material that is still going to be new. And so you need to really, because the material will be somewhat familiar already, you need to really be conscious that you're actually learning it as we go, and not just saying, yeah, I know that and I got that. In the final, I will be looking for you to apply what we learned in class. And brings me to the next thing I want to say about class, preparing you for the final, is that I want to challenge you to use the time in class to really learn the material. Now, what professor doesn't say you should learn the material in the class? Well, obviously that's the goal. But I know that sometimes the way I approached classes, I approached it and I thought to myself, well, I'm tired. I don't really feel like paying a whole lot of attention now. My mind doesn't want to be fully engaged. Let me just write down what the professor is saying, or worse, record what the professor is saying, and then I'll just learn it later. You're busy. You don't really have time for later. I understand that. Use the time in class to really learn the material. It's not about whether you're able to write everything down. It's rather about whether you can actually understand the concepts that are being taught. And if you understand the concepts, then you've got it. You've got it for the final, and more importantly, you've got it for life. So when you come into class, my encouragement is to not think of it as a time where you're going to write down everything you need to go home and study it later. My encouragement is to really try to master the material as I'm teaching it. My teaching style is probably to talk a little bit faster, but yet I'm not trying to talk in such a way that you can get down everything and then regurgitate it. I want to try to explain it one way and then explain it another way, and look at the same thing several different angles, and through all those explanations, hopefully you can actually get it and learn it. I'm interested in your learning as we go along. And I think if you do that, then you'll find that you don't really even need to study for the final, because you've already have those concepts and ideas in your mind because you learned them as they were being taught. So that's the final. Next thing is the blended assignment. That is 15% of your grade. Now, to say a couple things about the blended assignment. The first is that you need to do it because it's blended, so it's part of, not only counts as like homework, but it also counts as class. So it'll count as your attendance. See, what I've done, if you look on the syllabus, I've made the last class a blended class. We're not actually going to meet then. No class meets at that last class. And so if you look at the schedule, there's the final, which is the last time the class will meet. We're not going to meet there then either, because the final will be done on Schoology. But then there's the second to last, or the last actual class time, second to last time we would meet, and that is going to be blended, which means you don't actually meet in class. I'm giving you something to listen to and do on Schoology on your own. Now, because it counts as class, if you don't do it, not only will you not get a grade for it, you also won't get attendance for that day. And if you're already borderline on maybe not having attended enough, it could make you not pass the class based upon lack of attendance. Nobody wants that. So make sure that you do the blended assignment. Now, what I've given you to do, it's an assignment I'm kind of excited about, and you might think, what is this? But it's going to help you. It's going to help you in your evangelism. It's going to help you in your understanding of the gospel. There's a great interview with Mark Dever and some others people about the gospel, the importance of just what is the gospel and knowing the gospel. And then I've asked you to then write out the gospel, but not just once. I've asked you to do it at varying lengths, half a page, I forget exactly the length, but it's on your syllabus. And when you do it that way, it'll force you to grapple with what is the essence of the gospel, what is the main thing, and then how do you elaborate on it and expand it. So that's your blended assignment. It is taking the place of an entire class and all the work for each class. So, I want you to put some time into it. But I'm also hoping that this way of doing the blended assignment serves you. You see, if you could do that assignment earlier and then you have that week entirely free. You could knock it out right now and then you've got it done. And then that opens up some time for you right at the point when maybe all your other classes is just piling up and piling up. At that point, you will have, if you do the assignment ahead of time, you will have no work for my class and we won't even meet for that class. So it just kind of frees you up at a point when you might be mostly overwhelmed. And I want to help you and serve you in that way. So that's why part of why I've structured it that way. It also gives us more flexibility if we have to cancel class for some reason. Well, the point is, make sure you do the blended assignment. Don't skip that one. That's important. And then make sure that for the last week of class, you don't need to show up. Just note that on your calendars. Well, the last thing is the class participation, and that is worth 5% of your grade, which is significant. That'll throw you up and down from one letter to another, perhaps if you're borderline. All I'm asking for in that is that you be attentive, right? And this gets back to that idea of using the class time to really learn the material. Use the time to understand it, not to email or text or do something else. I understand that there may be some cases where you need your phone available if you're expecting an important call or text. Somebody's having a baby, somebody's on life support in the hospital. We live in a fallen world. Those things happen. I understand that. But barring some catastrophic event going on, take your phone and then turn it all the way off. Not just on silent, because then it'll vibrate and you'll pull it out and it'll distract you. And turn it all the way off. There's a lot of studies coming out now that says that we're distracted, and when we're distracted, the thing is we don't even realize that we're missing things. And we've reduced the amount of time that the class is. It's only an hour and 50 minutes instead of 2 hours and 45 minutes. So when we're there, let's be all there. And let's engage with the material to try to learn it in that time. And so I'm just asking for your attention. Make sure you can have your computer opened if you want to take notes on and all, but close your email program, turn your phones off, engage, be ready to go. So that's how you're graded for this class. Again, grades. It seems a little bit, I don't know, incongruent to be grading on the subjects of the doctrine of Christ and the doctrine of salvation. I mean, the proper response to these truths is that we worship and that we share it with others. Nevertheless, it's helpful to get feedback, how much you actually grasped, and we do grades, and that's what that's part of your learning experience. But hopefully I made it clear as to what I'm looking for, how I'm going to do the grades. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask me after class or shoot me an email or text. Or I'm happy to talk, want to help you and serve you as much as I can. Well, I look forward to looking at this material with you.